Hey folks, Frank the Pest Geek here. Happy Sunday to you all. Recording live from our natural studios here in sunny South Florida. No cigar for me today. I'm gonna have some iced coffee because I'm battling a cold that I've been battling for since last Sunday started. And Monday morning I started feeling like crap. My son was sick and I've been sick. So no cigar Sunday today. Just gonna have a little bit of coffee, followed by some hacking and some coughing probably. Um, but I wanted to continue discussing the 12 Ds of success, of achieving anything you want in life within reason. Um, I don't care how much I have these disciplines in my life. I will probably never be an NBA star, never be an astronaut or a brain surgeon. There are certain things that have to come along with hardwiring, with DNA in the individual, with purpose in life and what you were created to do. Um, and all those things play a role of what you're going to be able to achieve. But regardless of that, there's certain disciplines, let's call them disciplines, that is one of the 12 Ds that you have to have. You develop them during your life. You don't. Some people just develop them faster than others. It seems like some people were born with it. If you talk to any musician, any athlete, anybody who's achieved anything in life, the raw talent is there, but they need to still put themselves through the discipline of training, of playing for 8 to 10 hours a day for 10 years until they develop the proverbial 10,000 hours to master something. Mastery doesn't happen by simply dreaming about it. Or, yes, it is November here in South Florida. It's 80 something degrees. We had about an entire 2 days of rain. Sorry about that. And I have mosquitoes in my yard. I installed the IntuCare system at this house just recently. And I'm going to step back a little bit so I can be more comfortable. I've got a fan going over there because, they're weak flyers, but obviously I must be very attractive to mosquitoes because they're swarming all around me. And I did use bait recently, so hopefully this thing will die down. And we got mosquito issues all year long in South Florida. The business just goes down a bit for my regular clients that don't want any. They keep us all year round. They don't cancel their mosquito service. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of things. But we were talking last week about the importance of a dream and how everything really starts with a dream. But most people, when we look at the statistics, we look at the actuality of putting things into action. They use the term loosely, dream. The term dream gets thrown around very loosely, like the word love. I just love that person. I'm in love with that person. 67, 65% of people say they dream of owning their business one day or of starting their business. Some people say they wish they had a career. They would, love to have this, or they would love to have that. But their actions don't dictate that they're truly in love with that idea. They're mostly in lust with it. They're in lust with the idea of doing something, whether it's a career, whether it's a business, whether it's a marriage. People say, we're getting married. They spend more time preparing for a wedding than they ever do preparing for a marriage in life. Why most marriages, 50% of marriages will fail within the first 8 years. The average marriage lasts 8 years. There's a cancel culture that we're in. There's a culture of non-committal of thinking everything is easy. If I just watch the video, I know how to do it, I know everything about it, but they never do. And we're going to be talking about one of the D's is actually doing. So I'm giving you some glimpse into the future about what's coming. That they want and they dream about. They use the articles and the text uses dream, and I think, I don't know if they're being sensationalistic, whether they're using that word to grapple you, but when we see the action taken with 1% file for a business every year and only 10% of people ever own a business in the US, it isn't really a dream. It isn't like my dream is to become a world-class surgeon and then going to college for the next 15 years, 16 years, and working 100-hour weeks, not having any social life to accomplish their dream. It's more of it would be nice to one day, when I retire, to start a little hobby that eventually turns into a business. So the word dream, and a dream without a vision is not really a real dream. It's of, like I said, a kind of like to do something one day kind of thing. And what I want to inspire you is that if you're going to have to put some action behind it. You have to put steps behind it. You're going to have to develop a plan. You're going to have to actively be working on it if you're serious about having your dreams come true. For some people, that's going to be academia. For others, it's going to be entrepreneurship. For others, it's going to be some type of career in corporate America. I'm talking mostly to people who are pest control workers who listen to me, and are pest control operators, or certified operators for another company that would want to start up one day. But very few have a vision. See, I had a dream to be self-employed since I was about 14. And what happened was, I made a lot of mistakes in the career I chose, the things I tried a lot of things like most young people that are restless, that are entrepreneurial. I tried many things. I tried many startups before and I failed. That's the other thing that most people that succeed in business would have tried already 1 or 2 or 3 times and failed. They learned from it, and then they corrected that, and they learned things along the way. It was my dream. When I was starting in pest control 15 years ago, I still had a dream of starting up a business somehow. I had done many plans before, many business plans, things that I pitched that never took off, things that I started that didn't make it because it was bad timing, bad planning. It was a bunch of inexperience on my part. So there are a lot of things that go along the way that you acquire in your life that you don't have when you're 20. There's a study out there, a survey was done, that 63% of 20-somethings want to start their own business. It's no different than the majority of adults that say they want to start their own business one day. All the data shows also that the best time to start a business is not in your 20s. The problem is that Facebook and YouTube and everything has made it really sexy to think that you can just start anything, create a YouTube channel, start anything, and be successful at it without actually not knowing anything. You know, that if you're really good, if you look at the majority, my kid watches hundreds of endless hours of these guys doing stupid stuff that he just enjoys. And he thinks he can just be a YouTuber. These guys have a lot of skills that they've acquired, and they have the personality, and then they got the know-how to say, oh, I can make something stupid on YouTube, and it can take off, and I can get millions of viewers, then I can get sponsors. And that is a model. That is a model that can be done. For the majority of us, You need a tangible product or service. You know, do you have a skill set, something that you've acquired through 10, 15 years of experience? When I started my pest control business and I really got into it and I started up, I was like 36, 37. Every study has shown that people in their 60s starting up a business have they're 3 times more likely to succeed than people starting their business in their 30s. Why? They've acquired 12 Ds and more of these. Throughout their time, they've acquired a certain skill set. They've acquired work ethic. They've acquired things that 20-somethings don't have yet. Most 20-somethings I talk to don't have work ethic because they've never actually worked yet. They're still at home becoming a professional student because mom told them, dad told them, I don't want you to study, I don't want you to go work, I want you to devote yourself to studying. Not realizing that they're doing a great detriment to that child by not allowing them to acquire work ethic. They don't do anything at home. They don't throw out the trash. They don't mow the lawn. They don't help with chores. They just focus on becoming a professional student. So when we're talking about dreams that go unplanned, remain unreal. Okay, dreams that go unplanned remain unreal. You can't tell me you have a dream about doing something and not actively working on it. It isn't a real dream. It just sounds nice to say that. So for you 20-somethings that are still at home, the best thing you can do is, if your child can get a job at 16. The reason I acquired so much work ethic is because it was in my DNA, because I've been working since I was 10 years old. I was stocking shelves. I was changing tires. I was doing something since I was 10 or 11 years old, working. So by the time I was 18 or 19, I already had work ethic. You know, I didn't need somebody to try to tell me what work was like. When I became 21, I'm a sink or swim type of guy. I enjoy doing things that nobody wants to do. When we look at the average success startup founder, the average is around 45 years of age. Now, this is interesting because the average age of a pest control technician right now in America is somewhere between 39 and 41. Most people that are founders by the age of 42 and they start up a company, they're quicker to hire people. Why? Well, they're 40-something. They can't handle a lot of the physical work anymore. They're tired of it. Most of the time, if you're 41 and you're in this pest control business, chances are you started in your mid-20s. You know, that 18 to 25 range. And you're just done with being a tech in the field. Most companies, and I'm going to talk about the two types of companies that are out there, because most are the 2-3 man company, the solo operator, and very few become ever 10 or more employees in pest control. You know, that's a $600 to $1 million company if you're 10 technician company. And the desire to start, most of the time in this business, you're going to be a reluctant entrepreneur. You're going to be the situational entrepreneur, the happenstance entrepreneur, what the E-Myth calls, you had an entrepreneurial seizure, where you just got tired. You're not going to grow in a company. You've been a tech forever. The companies that you work for aren't growing. The large ones will kill you at your age, trying to run 15 to 20 stops a day. Those growth companies that are scaling at 50 to 100% a year are looking for young talent, 19 to 25-year-olds, that they can work to death. They're going to be in the industry 1 to 3 years. Very little training. All the training is focused on really on the sales organization. They're top heavy. They're 80-20. 80% sales training. You notice that the training happens every day with these sales organizations, specifically the door-to-door ones. The ones that are going to grow quickly are the door-to-door organizations. 80% of all the effort, training, money goes to sales and marketing. 20% goes into training, where if you're lucky to get one training session a month in, if you're lucky. So understand that those are the dynamics in this business, that the average small company isn't really growing fast enough for you to become management. The problem with sales-driven organizations is that the only people that are going to get the accolades and get the promotions and move up in that company are those that can show sales skills. If you're more apt to being a technical guy, you're stuck in those companies. You're not going to make it. You're not going to even be wanted by the rest of the industry. So you go do something else, or you start up, because if you were the sales-driven guy that actually said, oh yeah, I got a 25% production right here, and I got a 25% sales commission. Oh, yeah, I'm going to sell. And you become that guy that everybody notices. And you're the guy that gets promoted. You're the guy that, it doesn't matter if 40% of your customers are canceling. It doesn't matter if you have the highest callback rate. Because you're selling and you're acquiring more customers, and 40%, 50% cancel, it doesn't matter. What does that have to do with the dream? Well, the dream is going to be based on happenstance. It's not going to be based upon, oh my God, I'm just so great at running businesses. I had the privilege of failing at several business startups, that they were mostly side hustles. I didn't depend on the income. I still failed at it, like most do. We're going to look at that. It's not unusual what happened to me. I can roll with the punches and say, I understand the stats, I understand the numbers, I'll just keep trying. But I had the great opportunity of also being a great sales manager, running several businesses, turning around several businesses, and got the business experience. And now I'm a great statistic, because now I've been in business now almost 13 years. So now I'm a great statistic. So in your dream, you also have to have a great desire. The desire in this stage, in most pest control people, is going to come when they're 42, 43, 44, hitting 50. They're making the money, but they're overqualified. They don't want to burn out doing 15, 20 stops a day. They want to do, the 8 to 9. They're focused on high quality. I want to do high quality work. I don't want to do these 20 stops a day. They seem as that is totally, entry level work, entry level pest control work, where the actual entry level work is about $25,000 a year right now. The average pest control technician makes between $32,000 and $36,000, with the highest being 41, 42 average, which is like Minnesota. You got to go freeze your butt off somewhere to go make that kind of money in the Northeast. Then does the amount of the cost of living keep up with the cost of what you're getting paid? The desire has to be greater than the risk for you to really start up without having a need. What happens is you get laid off, you get fired, the company got sold, which is how mostly happens, and the new company that acquired got rid of all the old people because they thought they were overpaid, and for the money that they were paying you, they could hire 2 young kids to just run routes, because the reason most companies do the buyout is for the route density. You get instant route density when you buy a company. It doesn't matter if you lose 50%, you get instant route density. So they can get kids to do, I was one of those kids that they ran racket when I was in my 20s. But then again, I said yes to everything, because I wanted to learn. I was a little eager beaver. So you got the situational, the happenstance, and you have to start up. You have no choice because at 40 something, 50 years old, what the heck are you going to do? What career are you going to get into at this point? So most people that start up in this phase of life. Why don't people start up sooner? If you have already look, what you've learned in 5, 6, 7 years of being in this business, what you're going to acquire in the next 5 or 10 isn't really going to make that big of an impact on you being able to service that client because it's incremental. After 10 years of experience, it's a 1% incremental increase in learning, things you're going to learn along the way anyway. Well, why haven't you started up? Well, you were comfortable. You were making decent money. You kept ahead of inflation. You were able to have decent things. You worked pretty reasonable hours, 40, 45, 48 hours a week, 50. And you got a job that provided security. You crave the security and the comfort. Your spouse craves the security and the comfort. So you get golden handcuffs after a while. And as long as the company keeps giving you some bonus or some little incentive or some more overtime, you stop investing in yourself because you're putting in so many hours over here. You got family life over here. And you don't really have to do anything. It's fear of failure, as I mentioned before, but also fear of criticism. I mean, you gotta, the fear of criticism usually comes from the spouse's family. From people that once said, yeah, it'd be nice to have a business, but, being safe and being prudent is more important. What are my in-laws going to think? What is mom going to think about you if you fail? He had a good job. He just got greedy. Why did he need to start up that business and take all that risk and, mortgage the house and all the criticism? Instead of, your wife telling your mom, just go F yourself. I don't know. Just a thought. He's a good man. He's always provided. This is his dream. He's always wanted it. He needs to go for it. I'm supporting him. And if we got to sell the house and go live in an apartment and start all over again, I'm willing to do that. Here is the real problem. Most aren't willing to do that. Most aren't willing intentionally to take that amount of risk. And this is why 90% will work for somebody else and only 10% will ever start a business. While even in this recession, this craziness of COVID, we've only seen a 24% increase in the amount of businesses that are getting started. So if you got a 1.33 and you add 24% of that, it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. 24% more people are applying for businesses. It's not a really big impact. It's not like 24% of people are starting businesses. No, 24% increase over last year. What happened over the last 10 years? Nobody started a business. Why? The economy was good. Once you get laid off, like 2009 happened, people started a ton of businesses. Why? They had no choice. So when you have a choice, you're going to play it safe. Let me give you the stats, and then that way you can kind of, let me bring this over here so that I can give you some stats. You go on the SBA website, it says 90% of businesses fail. Yes, that is true. However, you don't get the whole story from that. The failure rate among startups like yours and mine, where it takes $5,000 to $10,000 to start up, is actually really low. Pest control doesn't have a huge startup. I mean, you can literally start up pest control, getting the license, getting the insurance, getting the equipment. I mean, what do you need? I got a bag. I did a video on it. You should see it. where I did an IPM bag. That's how I did most of my business. For a year, we did an IPM bag, one active ingredient, 1 gallon sprayer, and we could control just about everything in the back of a Nissan Versa. You don't need a spray rig. You don't need a power sprayer. You can start up with a $300 backpack. Hey, you can go, right now, we just bought Ryobi backpacks to test them. About 4 of them. To test them for lawn, for shrub treatment, for GHP. You know what the funny part is? These things are 148 bucks. They have adjustable dials. You can get it down to like 20 something PSI and I'm testing them, and I'm testing 4 of them. If you needed to start up for ant and roach control, you could start up with less than $5,000. Do it on the side, do it on the weekends. And most states will let you, Florida won't. You can only be a CPO, you need a certified operator, you can only be employed by one pest control company at a time. Stops people from moonlighting. But you can literally start up for very little. Roach gel bait, IGR, some monitors, ant gel bait, and pick 2 or 3 active ingredients for rotate for exterior perimeter. You can buy a used truck. You can start up for less than $5,000 a home-based business. If you're an accountant, if you're a bookkeeper, you can start up, a doggy scooping business. I mean, most that I see doing pest control are doing, poopy scoopy business. Why? Because they already have the clientele. They know they can sell an additional add-on service to them. Who are the people that start up, that expand very well and do new things? Are the ones that have had the sales experience. The guy who worked for a pest control company and he did pest control, then he moved into sales, and then he moved into management, has no problem starting up and scaling. The guy who did pest control and did sales has no problem starting up and growing really quickly his route. Scaling is another business because he might not have the management, one of the D's that you need to learn how to manage and train and move people up. The guy that has the hardest time is the guy who is just a technician and could not sell. And he saw sales as deplorable. He has a bad instinct about sales. And really, it's really about a mind shift a mindset, and a shift that you need in your mindset. You need a paradigm shift from that selling isn't bad. If I told you that I had the cure for COVID right now, and I didn't sell it, and I didn't tell the whole world about it, you'd think I was a greedy, selfish person. And if I went and told the whole world about it and I sold it, you would still think that I was a greedy and selfish person. The ability to sell is very important. The ability to have enough self-esteem and to sell yourself is even more important than your sales ability. 50%, 57.1% of home-based businesses make less than $25,000 in total revenue. The number one reason that businesses fail is cash flow, not profit. You can operate with no profit, 0, 8, 9, 10, 15 years, or very little profit, and survive. But if you don't have cash flow, in other words, cash flow is gross profit and total sales, to pay for 50% at least of all the expenses, including wages and salary, to pay yourself, you won't be able to survive. Now, in pest control, being able to sell $50,000 your first year and bringing home $25,000 is not hard. Yeah, but I can't live on $25,000. That's the problem. Let me ask you a question. Are you willing to eat a mile of crap to see where it came from? Are you willing to downscale your life and say, you know what, hon? Let's sell the house. Let's move to an apartment. Let's start up, and I'll take 50,000, 100,000 that we have profit in the house, and we'll have the money to start up the business. Or are you willing to stop renting a luxurious, stop fronting, pretending that you're successful when you're not? You know, for 5 years I lived in an apartment. And when my employees came over, bro, I thought you were this big giant company and you live in an apartment. Yeah, because I put everything back into the business. This is how I can pay you more than I pay myself. Are you willing to eat your own ego and check your ego at the door and say, yeah, it's okay if my technicians make more than me? And not have this thing where I have to make more than you because I'm the owner. I'm building equity. When they walk away, I still own the business. Are you willing to put your ego at the door? Are you willing to get rid of the fear of failure, the fear of criticism, of what everybody else is going to think? Who the hell cares what your mother-in-law thinks? Who the hell cares what your father-in-law thinks? Who the hell cares what anybody thinks about you? This idea that you have to be a certain lifestyle. You know, the average business owner makes about $68,000 a year. I know that's shocking. Everybody thinks business owners are making all this money. You know, why aren't you making so much money? You're a business owner. Why do you live in the house you live? Why do you live in the neighborhood you live? You're a business owner. You should be rolling in the dough because they watch too many YouTube videos. They don't know the reality of owning a business. While the average employee in America, the mean salary in America is $51,000. Not making that much more as a pest control owner. Why? Because it's 78% of businesses in America are single owner operated. 78%. And you're thinking everybody has all these employees. No, it's only a small percentage of companies that have 10 or more employees. The failure rate isn't that high. 20% will fail within the first year. 34% will fail within 2 years. Having two. 50% will make it to the 5th year. 25% will make it past 15 years. A lot of the time they just got tired. It was too much. The headaches were too much. They just quit. They just gave up. They just sold it. So when you hear 90% of businesses fail, that's what your mother keeps quoting to your wife. You know that 90% of all businesses fail? Stop asking people for their opinion that have never built a business, that have never gone on their own, that are giving their opinion about how to hire and how to do this and how to do that when they've actually never done it. Their opinion does not matter. The opinion that matters is, can I make it a success? Can I be successful? Is my dream big enough? Is my desire big enough? There's a quote. I mean, I remember listening to this quote way back when I was in business school, when I was going to Tony Robbins conferences. And it says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. This was what Eric Thomas, I guess, is quoted for this in The Secret of Success. And I remember hearing this when I was younger. When you want it bad enough, you will succeed. I was a sink or swim type of guy. I still am for the most part. My tolerance for risk gets lower as I get older, but I still have a high tolerance for risk. Things I get involved in, and mostly it's due to my time. "69% of all entrepreneurs start their business from home." And like I said, 79% are single owner founders. Being self-employed is as simple as being a subcontractor. Or, you know, can you get 100 companies to spend $100 a month with you? That's $100,000. Or can you get them to spend $10,000 a month with you for subcontracting, outsourcing a certain type of service? and you only have 100 clients. Pest control, the average route to be pretty good needs to about 300 clients. That's if you want to bust your butt. If you're working for yourself, you can do 150 easily. 150 clients. Then you can make more money than you were making working for somebody else. Desire. How badly do you want it? Is your dream real to do it? And next week we're going to talk about the third D. That's very important. Hey, this is Frank the Pest Geek wishing you a pestacular day.